Okay, great. So here with Sky, and we're going to do a pre-circle. You're having a conflict in XR Santa Cruz. So this is a pre-circle where I just offering listening to you just to hear you out and have a sense that you feel understood. We might go 30 to 60 minutes or, whatever is really sort of needed for you to feel like you're understood about the issues. I like to share at least my intention, which I've written down. Maybe I'll just read it. So my intention is for this restorative empathy circle is in creating a regenerative culture of empathy, which means to nurture mutual listening, understanding, care, support, trust, and a constructive relationship going forward. And for each person to be able to fully express themselves and feel heard and understood to their satisfaction. And to kind of create that environment, we use this empathic listening process as the foundation, which you've taken part in right before. So I'm here to just listen, and I'll do empathic listening. Maybe pause periodically so I can just reflect back and just see if you feel heard and understood.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I know it's a complicated issue, and it's a good case study for sure. So I kind of don't know where to start, but I can give you an update starting today, and then we can go backwards. Today I kind of left XR, so that's
So I'm hearing some real sadness that today you left XR, and so you're wanting to start with the present and move backwards, and maybe feeling some real grief, sadness about that.
Yeah. So when I say I leave XR, it's XR Santa Cruz. It's XR as a whole, like now, because I believe in this model. I just don't understand how people can agree to be part of a movement and not even learning the basic principles that this movement is trying to propagate. Everybody, well, a lot of people here are freaking out because of climate change. And it is, it is scary. But I didn't join XR because there were an environmental movement that wanted to stop climate change. I joined it because, yes, they wanted to do that, but they understood that it was due to us. It was due to people. It was due to every single one of us. Like, it is part of us that this kind of like, I don't know, egocentric view of the world, and they understand that in order to rebuild a world where this kind of threats will not happen anymore and where suffering will be really reduced, we need to work on ourselves.
Okay, so I'm hearing there that you feel that the climate issue is really caused by sort of an egocentric way of being, and that to really make a shift, we need to change ourselves and how we maybe relate and how we are sort of in the world.
Yeah, so when I joined in France, it was kind of easy because it was also remotely. So all the tools were already in shape. France, I guess, geographically is close to UK. So, but it was made of people like my generation, meaning people that didn't go through the system and kind of refused the system instead of being like, okay, let's compromise, let's make it work. They decided, okay, I'm gonna leave my job and just be an activist and change entirely the system. So I guess it was easy in France because everybody was aware, everybody reads the documents, everybody was like, wow, people have worked on the solution, and it seems like the best solution we have ever worked on, which is, you know, based on decentralization, self-organization, self-organized system, and regeneration, which was, you know, never seen before in any sort of activism movement. So when I joined in the US, I assumed I assumed that it was the case.
So you had sort of a model in France that the people you were working with were sort of outside of the system. They saw XR and sort of the processes, and especially like the regenerative aspect, which is very new. And so everyone was sort of on board, and sounds like everyone was excited about it. And but you had a different, when you came to the US, you had a different experience here.
Yeah. So in my head, I started to, you know, like question a lot what was happening in Santa Cruz, which I didn't understand really. Like, as a new member, I felt like I was left alone. I was not invited to about the next step. I didn't know what to do. There was no document I could read to make it transparent about the process. I didn't know the decision making, how it worked. And so there was a moment where I was like, okay, I think I'm just gonna not be part of it because it seems wrong. But then I talk with so the women I saw that put the poster of XR Santa Cruz. This is how I was like, I ran after her and I was like, wow, you here? And I was like so shocked because I didn't know. I didn't hear about Santa Cruz. It was not, and it's still not on the map of the, you know, like Extinction Rebellion Global. So I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. And so I talked more with this woman, and she empowered me, you know, like I was like, you know, she started to listen to me and to my view of, you know, Extinction Rebellion and what I've lived in France. So yeah, I guess like I was like, oh wait, it's actually because they don't know. It's not, you know, it's not that they are trying to hide anything or something like that. It's just like nobody took the time actually to read all the documents I read or other folks in France read, and it's going deeper. I realized that the national structure didn't even help them out. Like there is no, you know, like I don't know, there was no apparently training or forum. Like in France we use a forums, and we created one for global, so there is a portion for the US, but the US is not using it. And I was like, wow, that's odd. So I started to understand that it was not something due to here, it was something because of the system. It was like people didn't realize that they were actually trying to build another system. And actually when I talked to people about that, people were like, oh wow, yes. And citizen assembly, for example, which is one of the demand, each time I would ask someone here, nobody would even know what it is, would even know how it works. And yeah, it's
I
just,
reflect that back, what I'm
go
hearing.
for
So,
it, sorry.
yeah, no, that's fine. So when you came here, you wanted to connect with XR, but you couldn't really find them. There was like no material really available. And then it sounded like maybe you're a bit sad about that. We had a good time and good connection in France. But then you saw some people who were putting up posters, XR posters, and you got excited and started talking to them. But as you sort of learned more about the process, you realized that the local group is not really connected with sort of the larger they're not even aware of a lot of the practices and processes, like even citizens assembly, plus the US sort of larger group, that there's not any real support for the local group either. So you're just sort of seeing sort of some of the problems that we're keeping maybe XR Santa Cruz sort of maybe separate or isolated or not developing or something like that.
Yeah. So each time I would give a feedback to them, like especially at the beginning, there was a period where I didn't show up during 2 months because I was like, it's not for me. And then I came back and I tried to, tell them like that, it was not going great. And each time I didn't say it this way, of course, I said more specific, like for example, we should have feedback from people. We should take more time with the new members because they are kind of left on their own after the first introduction. And so I was trying to help out and see how the people would react, but each time, like there's no structure to give feedback, so it's like you have to talk to individuals, and of course individual people have their ego, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way. We all have an ego, but I mean in a way that each time they would take it personally. They would take it like a criticism of what they have built, like, oh, it's not good enough, it doesn't work, it's bad thing you have done here. And it just created this mindset of like, oh yeah, she doesn't know things. She's coming here in the US. She's French, and she just criticizes everything we do. So
So you were really wanting to contribute, like create. You're seeing that when people join, there's no way of sort of bringing them on board. They're left on their own. So you're seeing some of the problems there, and you're trying to raise those issues. And it was difficult to bring those issues because there's no clear structure there for doing that. And then because you were kind of bringing up these issues, you were seen critically as criticizing XR, and oh, there she is again, maybe being critical, but you're just trying to sort of help the process, improve the process.
yeah, so in France, like in my mindset, and I know I need to adapt because I am in the US, but in my mindset, there is no failure of success. There is always, it's a constant improvement. What you do can be better tomorrow, and you can change it, and it's okay. Here, like, yeah, I guess in France we are known to complain a lot, and we complain a lot. And it's considered criticism, but for us it's like we call it a constructive criticism, meaning we will never say something if we don't think it can improve and can be worked on. If not, we will not bother. Like, what would be the point to even say anything? And so this is tough for me because people don't see that. So people take it personally, and now I have 10 people, like the main, group of the people who build these entities that are against me. And they have the power because the power is not decentralized in Santa Cruz. So
yeah, feel loss and sadness. Sounds because you're not feeling heard and seen or accepted in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, definitively. And I know I'm not the only one. If, like at some point I thought it was me. I thought I was, I was asking too much or something. And of course I have, the people in France and the people in the international team to talk to realize that, oh no, actually, no, it's part of the principle. It's okay. It's not me. But then I have also people I work with. I am part of the art group. We have a lot of LGBTQA plus people, and they have been shut down so hard. and nobody's is trying to speak up. Everybody's like, oh yeah, we should do something. Yeah. And I have to stand up. I have to go in this stupid process of like the threesome of being like the hero complex, and you have the victim and you have the villain, and you need to defend and protect the victim. And I don't want to do that. I want to get out of that. And this is why I wanted to have this empathy circle, because we did that together for other things, and I thought it was great. And today again, it's like I realize how it's not gonna work.
You're just, it sounds like you had a lot of hope in XR that things would work there. And you have a group, in the art group, where they're sort of, you see others who are experiencing this same thing, that they're sort of feeling shut down. And you're just sort of seeing the hopelessness of being able to make any change, and just the sense of loss, maybe just feeling a sense of loss because you had a lot of hope in this. It creates a lot of sadness. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you also had took part in an empathy circle, and it just felt good to kind of be heard, and that kind of gave you a little bit of hope in sort of the empathy circle process.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like people need to identify sort of to have empathy. People need to if you have someone, especially in the US, but in life in general, and especially in this epoch where we have 7 billion people, you can't have empathy for everyone. If not, you will lose your mind. So I read a lot of publication about the fact that you need to kind of identify yourself apparently to improve empathy, and to sort of stop a behavior using too much emotion. And for example, if you would want to use nonviolent communication, it means that you respect another person, so you have enough empathy and you put yourself in the shoe of the person. And I think I lost that. It's like now all they see is like the person that's gonna critique them, that's gonna challenge them too much out of their comfort zone, and it's not working. So I am the problem. That's the conclusion. It's like I am the problem, and
Yeah, so it sounds like you were trying to develop your empathy skills, trying to learn how to identify with others and understand and use some of these processes, but that now you're just seen as the problem, and there seems to be no way sort of forward. You're the one that's the problem, and it sounds like it's just kind of feel like there's a wall up and no way forward.
yeah. So I proposed, I did a presentation, I showed the problem, the strengths, the weakness, the issues, and the problem, and then a solution, which would be use our collective intelligence and work on the issues all together to create a better system that would work for us. Nobody feedback, nobody was like, yeah, it's great. Everybody just looked at me like kind of trying to contain their anger and not showing it or something, but just like not replying in any like sort of way. Not saying that they disagree, not saying that they agree. And then we had an action, and after the action, everybody starting back in normal. It was like everything I said was, found nothing. Okay, you have what you wanted. You wanted to be listened to. We listened to you. Now let's, business as usual. Now we need to prepare for the next action. And No, because now we need to get feedback by people. Now we need to regenerate. We need to follow a generative cycle. So we need to actually slow down right now. We have done a big action. So let's make sure everyone is okay. Everyone is on board. Everyone, what's the feedback? What can we do better? Blah, blah, blah. I created a form that people could send out. Okay, great. But still in the working group for action, the facilitator, Antoinette, she still decided to talk about the next, there was people that just have been arrested. They are in distress. They just want support. And she doesn't give a fuck, like she's just like, no, we need to, like we're gonna do like half the session feedback. And then it was like, okay, 2 minutes, now 2 minutes. And I was glad because it was not even me, it was my friend. I have like 3 people that support me in this chapter, and 2 of them were arrested, and one of them is actually like one of the older member, part of this stewardship, and she like she was like, okay, can we pause now? Can we just like stop being on the clock, because it feels like we have things to say as arrested people. We want to talk about. It's just, I don't understand why I need to fight,
Yeah, so what I'm hearing there, you're just feeling some real grief. You see that like people who were arrested, that they need support. They're probably feeling a lot of pain, and you really have care for their well-being and care for the others. And when you try to bring this up and try to bring in more of these values, that there's sort of a drive to just keep going, kind of this more, it feels like a push, just to push forward, instead of, taking some time to hear where everyone is, and, hear perhaps their pains, their struggles, and it's very, it's like, sounds like you have care for those people, and that's just, there's no space for that. And even when you give a presentation to, make suggestions, that instead of getting any interest or questions or responses, you just get sort of a blank stare and no reaction. And so you probably feel, I imagine you're feeling maybe disconnected, because there's no, nobody's kind of hearing what, you don't feel really understood for what you're trying to share.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the issue is, once again, like they have created the structure since the beginning, and I don't criticize that, because starting from scratch, it's hard, and if you don't have the resources and the help to do it, it's like really tough. But when you have someone that comes and tells you that she speaks for others that has been also shut down, and there are issues that needs to be tackled, wouldn't you reach out to this person if you want to change things? Because right now what they did was keep doing their stewardship meeting, and in the stewardship meetings they decided a bunch of things, and I'm not part of that. I can't. I said as a joke, oh, I'm gonna come to this stewardship meeting, and one of the member, Amy, was like, oh, I need to call you, we need to talk, and she called me out saying that, no, I can't do that, because she wants, she doesn't want conflict right now. She, they need to move forward and stuff. And that's it. I'm just a source of conflict, and so with the 2 people that were arrested that support me, they see what I see, and we decided to create a small group of people that will work on a proposal to restructure. And I didn't make it a secret. I saw what's happening in the national team. I saw the shit show that it is. I understand why it is what it is, but I decided, okay, I don't want to hide that. I want to use collective intelligence. I'm not American. I don't know what happened here. I was not here at the beginning of this chapter, so let's cut out. So I asked, people if they want to join, they can join. Nobody else joined except another. She's European originally, but she's also in the US since 20 years, and she has rebuilt now the Regen working group. So she's well aware of a lot of Regen practice, and so we wanted to all work on that, and we started to. So this was like 1 week ago. Things evolve pretty quickly, huh? Yeah. Yeah, Thursday was our first meeting. And Amy is the person that, called me to say that I should step out. Basically, like, she emailed us and she said, oh, you should contact me and Antoinette. Antoinette is the action prep coordinator, external coordinator, because we have worked on a proposal. We actually, Antoinette did a proposal to stewardship, and it's basically what you are asking. So it's almost done. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, we told everyone we are working on that. You didn't contact us, and now I need to contact you to just learn that you decided to go ahead, to not use collective intelligence because you know better. So you went in your stewardship meeting that is supposed to not take decision, to take the decision to do something about all the things I talked about, or the proposition. Do you want to reflect on that?
Yeah. So you were wanting to bring some proposals. I understand it, some proposals forward, and that it sounds like the stewardship group, they actually sort of took some of the things that you were talking about. They did it without even consulting you or even asking you about it, and then sort of short-circuiting kind of the energy that you were trying to create. So, and they didn't include you in it, and then you're supposed to go to them again to kind of get them being in charge, I guess. So I imagine you're just feeling like not included, not feeling left out, sort of short-circuited. Take your energy direction has sort of been co-opted or something like that.
Yeah.
Or not included. Probably just, I imagine just feeling alone. Not being included.
Yeah, there's a lot of feeling alone for sure.
And a lot of grief.
So Hearn, which is one of the other people arrested that is part of this ad hoc group that works on this proposal with me, told me that Antoinette reached out to him, and he told me, like, we should invite her, because I answered to Amy in parallel to all the people that she put in copy to this email, and I said, I called for people, and Antoinette was there, and she didn't say anything. So this was Sunday, and on Tuesday, apparently, she came forward and did a proposal to stewardship. And now it was Wednesday, and it's like, we have this meeting tomorrow. We planned it. There are a lot of things I've studied, and I know that the people that are part of this meeting have studied a lot of things too. And it would be really tough to have another person coming without, like, the understanding of of using our collective intelligence more than our, individual mindset. And Hearn received, like in parallel, he received the fact that she really wanted to collaborate. So I was like, okay, fine. If you think she's gonna listen to us, if you think that there's gonna be discussion, then fine. And well, it didn't. It's like she came. She told us, so there was me, Hearn, and Tanya, the regenerative person. Hearn is the part of the outreach and action. And she was like, okay, I woke up at 5 a.m. I'm really tired. She's a Zen Buddhist monk also. So she does a lot of things to help people. And this was my mistake. I assumed that I read a lot about Buddhism. And so it's kind of against the principle of Buddhism, but I expected her to follow the principle of Buddhism that I read. But I know that there are a bunch of different Buddhisms, so it was a bit stupid of me to believe that. But yeah, so she came, she explained that she's tired and she just wants to tell us what she did and then leave. And that's it. I'm like, okay. So she talks and she explained how she didn't understand, she said, what I explained during the meeting. I was like, okay. But she went to see Megan, the other person that is part of stewardship that supports us and me. And Megan explained her in a so simple way, she said, that she understood right away. And she understood it was like an epiphany. She said that she knew what to do. And what needed to be done was to dissolve stewardship and transfer it to core, to the anchor circle. And so she did a proposal right away to stewardship. And with a great surprise, everybody was okay with that. But they were missing one person. So they deferred, like the action and they were about to do it like the next week where this person was missing because, yeah, so, okay. So I try to explain to Antoinette that this is one piece. Like for me, this is not mitigation of powers. This is, like if you defer, like there's no nomination. Like all those people are self-nominated, they self-volunteer, they don't want to have a term, they want to stay in that position for forever because they were part of. So there is not even this idea that, like, oh, we detain power. They don't see it. And I really want them to see that through explaining what is self-organized system, because I know we have been in this hierarchical system since forever. So it's daunting. I feel like I said already a lot.
Yeah, let me see if I get it. So what I was hearing is you had a meeting and you had hoped to have more of a dialogue in the meeting, but the person, they said they were tired, they'd already made some decisions, they just wanted to go. So you didn't have sort of this deeper dialogue that you were hoping for? Is
Yeah,
that
so
to begin with? And then if that's true, then the other part is you wanting to convey sort of about the nature of power and how power is distributed within XR Santa Cruz, and that that the groups are sort of like there's no sort of power turnover, like maybe you have elections or a turnover of the roles. So you're trying to bring in kind of what you see as sort of power dynamics and the problems kind of in the larger culture as well, and trying to convey that part. Did I get it? Am I getting it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So when she was done talking, she turned to me and her and she said, So that's it. That's what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Okay. And I was like, well, no, this is exactly what society is doing. It's like you put a patch. This is a small piece of the entire things, you know. I don't want to tell her that like everything that needs to be done, because I don't have the answer. I just know what I've lived through in, you know, XR friends. And this is why we were about to do this meeting, to kind of converge ideas and use all of our collective mind to have a solution. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go further and give her an example, and she was like, "Oh yeah," she said, "But aren't you grateful that I did that? This is what you wanted. This is it. That's done." And I was about to, you know, like it was boiling a bit in me. I know that I have some issue. I need to breathe each time. It's like I have issue where when I get really emotional, I get really intense, and I'm like, I can say things without too much thinking. So Hearn didn't let me talk because he knows me, I think. And he took it on him because he saw what happened at the meeting, and he didn't want that to happen. He's kind of protective with me, he's older. So he was like, okay, let me give you an example. For example, Sky did a presentation, and she mentioned that stewardship didn't actually have it was not in addition with the horizontality of a movement, to have a group that was not transparent about the decisions they will make, and that have a supreme power of decided what to talk about during even the core meeting circle, all those kind of things. And so Sky mentioned to don't have stewardship, but have a core meeting every week, having one representative of each working group, which we don't have right now, and all those kind of things. And yet you went to the stewardship group and you presented this proposal without consultation of any of us, saying that it's your proposal and considering that it's a favor and now we need to be grateful. She went really upset. She told him, how can you be so unkind? She stand up, she took all our stuff. Tanya, I was like, we are grateful. I'm glad you did that, but at the same time, I wish you didn't. And she was like, no, I can't take that. This is not. I don't understand you. This is what you wanted. Blah blah blah. And so Tanya was trying to explain, but at this point, she would just talk, and she was pissed and. She left. She said that, yeah, she was probably too tired for this kind of discussion. Hearn was probably not unkind. She takes that back. But she left, you know? And it's so symptomatic of what's happening. And I'm speaking about her as I could speak about 5 other people that did the same kind of things to me and that are part of the stewardship group. So it's like if I need to address those people, but I would like to address this group, but I can't because they are made of individuals that have, you know, like a certain way of functioning in a certain comfort zone that I cannot pass. I need to have their trust. I need to have their love. I need to. So today, so I told Tanya right after that her burst into tears, and we talk all together. And I was like, how about we go with stewardship and we do an empathy circle? And Tanya was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And she didn't know much about Empathic Circle, so I told you about you. And she said, yeah, do you want me to organize? I'm like, yeah, I think we need a more region person to organize it and more neutral, because Tanya has a good way of like, not being on one side. So that was good. And everybody, the idea was propagated from Megan in the stewardship group. And everybody seemed to be okay with that because it came from Tanya. So it was like my way of like, yeah, don't say that it's come from me. It's like, because I know that people will not be okay with that. This was in my head. I didn't even tell her that. Mm-hmm. And Antoinette texted this morning. Megan sent a text saying that she would like to not talk anymore in private with people because it's really detrimental for her, and she cannot take it anymore. So I don't know what happened. But Antoinette sent a text. So she just said, okay, give me a thumbs up if you are okay with an empathy circle. And don't put a discussion here. And everybody was like, thumb up, thumb up. I put a thumb up, and put a thumb up. All the people from Stewardship, and it was Antoinette's turn. And Antoinette, I don't want to say something that is wrong. So she said that she reads the comments on a guide that was made this morning. So someone from Stewardship, knowing that we are doing a proposal, decided to do a guide about the process and the structure of the chapter. But it didn't talk about what is happening now. It talks about what would happen in the future. And so, of course, I commented everything that was like, okay, this is not happening right now, so don't talk about the future because this is my proposal. Don't talk about that because, like, the feedback, for example, it was like, oh, we will have a feedback coordinator. I'm like, we don't have a feedback coordinator. This is my idea. Don't talk about that. Like, it was like, we had a resolution conflict with this other person, and he swore to me that he was working on that to just talk about the status of what is happening now, not to propose new things. And he proposed new things inside this. So she said, having read the comments on the navigation guide, I feel one-on-one is needed because before an empathy circle requires civil, kind, and reflective speech, and the comments that were posted were not this. I would like to suggest a one-on-one between Sky and someone slightly outside of Stewardship, or possibly Mars, who recently left Stewardship. So I tried to do some things that was, like not a blaming and shaming things, where we would go on individual, and in a group text, someone just points, at me, not even trying to understand why I put this comment, because like I had actually a discussion with the person who did this guide, and so I left the group, I left the Signal group, I left the Action Preps Signal group, and I don't know now what to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me see if I get this. That you had a meeting that it seems like that somebody kind of left and it kind of fell apart, and then the word got out about an empathy circle, and everyone was like okay with doing an empathy circle, and then someone sort of objected, saying we need sort of a one-on-one dialogue first, and that led to a lot of other discussions. I wasn't quite clear that it somehow it kind of fell apart, or that in terms of doing the empathy circle sort of fell apart. They wanted these one-on-one discussions first, and that because of that, you just dropped out of the different groups.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. because they didn't want to do the empathy circle? Is that?
No, because there was this comment on.
Oh, that they wanted to make some changes with just kind of going ahead and making some changes and not making changes that you had suggested and without kind of consulting and bringing you in on that decision. So you're feeling left out again of those decision processes.
There's that, and there's the text of this person that said that basically I am not someone that is, like, or at least my speech is not civil, kind, or reflective. My comments are not civil, kind, or reflective. And it's just because I dare to say what I think.
Mm-hmm. So someone was saying about you that your thoughts aren't kind, reflective, or what was the other ones? The kind,
reflective, civil.
Oh, civil. Yeah. So you feel like you're being dismissed, that your comments aren't those things, and sounds like that was just very upsetting. And that was the trigger. That was the trigger that you said you just want to drop out because you're being judged as not having those qualities.
It's not only that, it's this kind of like dynamic of being, like me versus them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why this guy with whom I had a conflict resolution, he knows that we will have an empathy circle. He knows that I'm working on a proposal, and he decided today, which is the day that I was supposed to send out this proposal, to send before, like first thing in the morning, like 7 a.m., to send his guide. And then instead of having people being like, oh, wait, there are a lot of propositions that comes from Sky and Earth's ideas. And so how about, like you don't put that there because they are working on it. So what's the point of putting things that they're actually like working on? Now, the only thing I get is the other people that had also issues with me and her that decide to rally, like to do like this group of like, oh yeah, they are like really not civil people, not kind people, not respectful, basically. And I don't understand. I do understand where they come from, but I don't have hope for them to be in my shoes, I can be in their shoes. I can see why Michael did that, why he wanted to do that for the good, because he wanted to assess some things. And yet I see this, like rush, this kind of like things he have lived through his entire life to be like, oh, I want to be the first. I'm going to send all of that. And Antoinette wants to have credit because she did it. And this is so like not my mindset of like, why you don't come with me and we all work together, and there's no
Yeah, sounds like you would like a sense of moving forward with the feeling of connection and being seen and sort of mutual empathy. And instead it's kind of people kind of rushing off doing their own thing, and it feels maybe disconnecting, and you'd really like that feeling of connection with working together in a sort of a connected, mutually empathic way.
Yeah.
And maybe feeling a bit hopeless about it and beat up, maybe.
Yeah. I understand why some people created another XR. I don't, I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think that created two different things it's gonna need nowhere. And yet I'm in this position where, what if I was a US citizen? What if I was a US person and I'm running into conflict with my like they are supposed to be the people fighting the same thing I'm fighting. You know, we are supposed to be the same, and yet there is like this separation about who is doing it the best. You know,
So it's a sense of competition, maybe. It's, instead of sort of working together collaboratively, you feel like there's this feeling of competition. Hey, instead of us working together on this same thing, we're sort of competing with each other.
Yeah. And I don't know, you know, I don't know.
And even have some understanding of why some people might want to start a different, you know, XR America or something because of the frustration. So, but then concern too that this is just going to create dysfunction or conflict and ineffectiveness.
Yeah. And I don't know, you know, my hope is really to build the society of tomorrow, is to really change the system. And it's really to change the mindset of people, to stop having grade at school, to stop having people on the street. To do that, you need to understand that if you are rich, there is someone that is poor somewhere. It's how it works in our system. So we need to stop that. We need to stop being competitive. We need to be a community. We need to work together. And working together requires a process and a system that is horizontal. And if people fail in acknowledging that there is a problem, if they don't want to hear it because it's out of their comfort zone and it's in conflict with their you know, like feeling of, okay, then it's my fault, I feel like I can't do anything.
So you would like, you're seeing that to make a real shift, we need sort of a shift in underlying values and sort of mindsets. And if the people don't see that or don't really want to make that shift, there's nothing you can do. I don't know if I quite got that, but
I don't know, like, what's the point? What's the point for me to waste my time with people that don't give a fuck because they are like, they take it personally, and so I cannot say anything, and we go back in the same system of like fucking politician that knows better than people because, you know, because they know. It's everything I'm fighting against. It's exactly why our society is failing right now.
So you're kind of seeing the problems in the larger society is actually problems in the group too. And somehow there has to be some deeper underlying shifts that need to happen. And it sounds like you're just struggling to find, how do you move forward? Like, what's the way, kind of the pathway forward to, you know, maybe just kind of struggling. What can you do? Where can you put your direction? Something that will work.
And I, you know, like, I really thought that by having this empathy circle, like, people will be like, oh yeah, I can actually put myself in her shoe, and I would, you know, like, see that she's not a demon that wants to destroy us or whatever ideas they have, because I think it's kind of bad now in their mind. And now, because of all those texts saying that basically I'm unkind, not civil, not respectful person, like, I'm failing myself too. It's like, if even with the people that are supposedly to be on the same page as me, I cannot resolve conflict, then for me it's like, yeah, we're gonna always be at war. We're gonna always have people dying and suffering for stupid reasons because we are not able to listen to ourselves. So
So if you can't even kind of solve conflict with the people who you sort of have the same beliefs in, especially like climate change, that if you can't solve the problem, that conflict's there, like, where's the hope in solving the larger problem? So kind of would seem, maybe feels just very hopeless. that any positive change can happen.
Yeah. I think that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you feel kind of shared what you need to share for now, and so okay, then is it still going forward, the empathy circle? Did others still want to go, or some still want to go forward with it? Is that?
Before I left this group, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 people that put 7 people that put a thumbs up. I think the total of people that should be part of this empathy circle, because they are kind of like like they're kind of like in this mindset of I am not great, is a dozen people.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we are missing just a couple, but definitively Antoinette is one of the people that should be part of it, and she put a thumbs up, but then she put the comments, and so I don't know what this means. And Michael didn't answer, and Michael is the person that created the guide. So
there's a lot of people that would like to take part, and sounds like you're willing to go ahead as well.
I think it's important, and well, as we said at the beginning, it's a good case study.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good case study. Yeah, we can share this with the rest of XR as sort of a model, hopefully, that so you're really putting yourself out there publicly with it.
Yeah.
So what I would do going forward is do it a pre-circle with the other participants that would like to do that, and then bring them together. Maybe we could do a series, because sometimes the scheduling is hard. 3, 4 people gives everyone more time to speak. And then we have some, one circle, then with the other group, another circle, maybe have even a couple circles, and then can move towards having everyone together. So I'm talking with Tonya tonight. Yeah, so try to kind of coordinate, coordinate it, and we'll just move forward. I have another person, Lou, who's willing to help with pre-circles and with facilitation of circles. So we can kind of just start, doing this, maybe even a series of these. And so I'll just try to schedule the circles with the other, the pre-circle with the other participants, so they have a chance of just being heard, and it sort of models the process a bit of the listening. So
yeah, no, I think it's great. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I know it's gonna be a long process, but hopefully, I still have some hope. I will not be talking to you if not. Right now I need to, I think, back off, because I can go.
So you're going to back off from the rest of XR, but you're still willing to do Santa Cruz, but still willing to go forward with the empathy circle and have some hope for moving forward on this.
Yeah.
Okay.